Welcome to the Joy Quota podcast. I'm Dylan Fole.
I'm Gavin Malcolm.
Our guest today is Connor Tieulie, mountain bike filmer, adventure filmer, all-around sweet guy.
Yeah, we get into some real shenanigans and talk about life and talk about adventures, and one of the best people we've ever talked to about filling that joy quota and making sure that every day is pursued to the fullest. So enjoy.
You know, obviously anything you can do to like improve your equipment or anything that you use to like get your creativity out, then there's no like limitations on that. That's when you'll like flourish. So having good equipment, yes, like it does help a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, you need good stuff like this podcast, you know? We got some good mics, we got some good cameras. So it's going to be quality.
Difference.
And then we don't have to sit here and be like, "Oh, does this sound good? Like are we sounding good? Oh, I lost connection." You know? So but I've definitely dealt with a lot of that, just like trying to deal with like making my first videos on Windows Movie Maker and like some very, very slow computers. And my mom's like, I don't even know, it was like some Nikon camera, super old, but you know, it got the job done for back then.
Camera or like the flip video camera, whatever that was.
Yeah, those flip cameras were trash. My friend Cody had one, and it did not get the job done, honestly.
No.
Like,
they were
actually did not.
So I bought a knockoff flip camera because the real ones were more expensive. So I bought, I don't know, a cheaper version of it. And yeah, it was horrible quality. But the best part, because this was right when GoPro came out, and GoPro was even more expensive. So what I did is I took this knockoff flip camera, put Velcro on one side of my snowboard helmet and one side of the camera, and Velcroed this camera to the side of my head that was like this big.
I literally remember that footage.
Me and my brother skiing.
And,
that's crazy.
Didn't you do like one run through the dirt jumps with it as well? Or like something like
probably.
that? Because I remember seeing footage and like, again, GoPro like just came out and being blown away. Like, what? He had a camera on him? That's crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. That is crazy. And like, so yeah, you were right up there with GoPro, you know, strapping your flip camera on your helmet. What up, GoPro?
But the guy that invented GoPro became a billionaire, and I didn't, so I didn't take it and run. I wouldn't want to be a billionaire.
No.
Yeah,
all right. First question for our guest tonight, Connor.
I was just like, I'm just talking to these dudes and like, are we rolling?
We're always rolling.
We've been rolling.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, we're in.
Wait, maybe we should actually do a legit start, because
yeah, I'm down. Either way,
it'll sound better that way. How do we say your last name?
So do you want to do the start and then go back into that? I thought you could maybe cut out some things. Like I think we really ranted on about the computers and hard drives.
Well, I think we'll just cut that.
Like maybe there was some good stuff. I don't know. But
that's just fun. Let's do you kind of end up chatting for a couple minutes just to like get a conversation going.
Yeah. Let's do a little intro.
It kind of it sounds weird to me when we do it like that, when there's not an actual start point.
No doubt.
So
we can do a start.
Yeah,
because we'll do the intro at the
whatever
end
works
where
for
we
you guys.
introduce you, but just an actual start point.
Yeah.
Cool. Totally.
Well, start us off, Dylan.
Well, I think we were going in a good direction. Like,
all right, we're officially starting now, and actually, just for the record, we've already been rolling for 25 minutes, and we just didn't realize we've been talking, and then we're like, okay, we need to start this. Let's do an official start. So Dylan, kick us off.
It makes it way more awkward when you do it that way.
It's the truth, though.
Well, Connor, if you could be a billionaire, would you?
Oh, I mean, if I could have $1 billion, yes, I would have $1 billion, but I wouldn't live the life of a so-called billionaire. I would, put that money towards good things in the world.
Yeah. Okay, like what?
I would probably try to invest a lot of money in environmental things. I would also try and invest money in school systems, doctors, science to get new research about things that we could be doing better. I think a lot of it would probably go to research on how we could actually make the world a better place. Instead of just trying it, let's do some research and see what we could do. I don't know. It would just, I really don't know. I would have to sit down and, jot this out.
Dude,
because
really
that's a serious issue, having $1 billion.
Oh yeah,
you got to write it down.
That's the thing. Like, it's so much responsibility. I don't know if I would want that much responsibility because, like, it seems like a good idea, and yeah, there's all these causes that you could support, and that would be an awesome factor, of course. But the amount of people that would hound you for money would, I think, become unmanageable.
See, I feel like that's where the guy who started 5 Hour Energy, literally, guys made like billions of dollars, and he gave away like 95% of it.
Wow.
Like, he literally lives off like $100K a year, but he's made billions, and then once he hits his like salary of $100K, every other dollar goes into this other company that's only job is to better the world. Like, if you're into environmental science, like, they have a huge, like, it's literally just this like think tank of engineers and scientists and researchers, and all they do is just pour as much money into possible. It's like, you have unlimited funds, make the world a better place. There's like a little YouTube documentary on it that was super cool. I was like, that sounds like a fun way to be a billionaire. I would also just like surprise people with like crazy. I'd be the worst at having $1 billion because I would give it away so fast. Like,
Right. That's the thing.
I would just be like walking. Like the other day, I was driving down the street and literally like almost started crying while I was driving our like giant work truck. There was just this little like, I don't know, 8-year-old kid who was blind, and he was learning how to be blind. Like, it wasn't a new, like, I'm not sure if he was like born that way or if it happened recently, but like this amazing lady was helping him learn how to cross the street blind, and like traffic's backing up behind me and I'm like not caring. I just want to like see what that looks like because I'm genuinely curious, but also I'm just like moved by like how crazy is it that this little kid has to like learn such an insane skill set. And like immediately started reaching out to the Boys and Girls Club like before I even made it to work, like next stoplight, like send a quick text to a buddy who is really involved there. And like that's the kind of stuff where if I was driving and I was a billionaire, like I would just walk over and like, even without like the kid knowing, just like somehow give enough to him like in resources to where he can have the support that he needs to really like learn the skills it's going to take to get through life, and give him the extra little push to kind of even the playing field.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too, and when you can directly impact a human being, that's great. And I think, the $1 billion would definitely go towards helping individual people that really need it. And, if we can help like 2 million, 5 million, like, we could help so many, like, I don't know, 500 million people with this $1 billion or whatever. We have to do the math. But
I think that would be $2 per person if it was, I don't know, carry the one. I'm not great
Carry
at math.
all right. Well,
$2.
But you could
that's
still
better
make
than
a
$0.
difference.
right. So if we lift up
that's
like,
assuming you don't make any
a
money,
very
but yeah.
large majority of people, then that itself is going to make a very big impact on the world, I think, impacting the people first, and then making, maybe people like that don't have it as good as us and they're stuck in a rut. Hey, let's help them out a little bit and get them on their feet, and then they can go on and do their thing in the world, whatever they're meant to be. And I feel like a lot of people don't have the opportunity to actually do what they are meant to be in the world. And, it's kind of unfortunate, and it's very true. We are very lucky in the United States and, vast majority of North America. But there are still, a lot of people that are struggling here. So you just never know, United States, the land of, it's the best country, but, let's look at like what's actually happening.
Yeah, there's
So
What
there's a big gap there.
Are you familiar with Andrew Yang and for president and his $1,000 a month?
Oh yeah,
What?
I did
He
actually
wants to
see.
give $1,000 a month as a freedom dividend. He calls it. It's universal basic income. He's running in 2020.
I'm not a fan of that.
I don't know. I saw one of his videos on Facebook.
He's
I
pretty
think,
heavy
and
on Facebook right now.
it caught me as kind of a gimmick at first, but if you were to give everyone $1,000 a month and people who didn't need that $1,000 a month gave it to people who did need it, then that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, like I think that's where it gets tricky. Like anything where you just...
But people are going to keep it and buy it on things that they want,
I feel like you're just going to... Like a lot of people just learn how to spend an extra $1,000 a month instead of use it for something useful, like, you know, getting out of debt.
But that kind
or
of
like
is the
things.
point, is the benefit to the economy. That's kind of how it pays for itself, I think. I'm not super familiar.
Interesting. Well, speaking... Actually, you just mentioned something, Connor, how, like, getting people to do what they're actually meant to be doing and what they're passionate about doing. You literally dropped out of high school when you were 15 to go pursue filming and photography. Like, you've literally been blessed with what I don't think a lot of people have, which is, A, the courage to chase their dreams and, like, really get after it. But more importantly, you knew you literally knew what you wanted to do, and you trusted yourself when you felt that feeling of like, oh, this is what I'm meant to be doing. What was that like?
Yeah. It wasn't like anything like, oh, I want to be a photographer, I want to be a videographer. But I think it was more of just like an inspiration to want to start trying these things and get in that and just really start exercising my creativity outside of mountain biking. Like mountain biking has been my number one source of creativity pretty much ever, until I discovered photography and videography and making videos and everything that comes along with that. But yeah, I think, you know, it's great. And I think that everyone has something that has yet to be discovered, but maybe they don't have, you know, a supportive family or something up. Yeah. You know, there could be a number of things that is blocking them from realizing that potential, but I do believe that everyone has the potential to unblock that and, you know, kind of at least start on the right path to following your passions.
Yeah. So you mentioned your supportive family. How did that conversation go with your family when you were 15 in 10th grade?
Oh shit. So yeah, my family has always been very supportive of everything that, you know, makes me happy and everything that I need to be a good human, which is great. Shout out to my family. They're the best. Love you guys. But yeah, it was pretty weird when, you know, I brought up the conversation of, hey, I want to drop out. You know, my parents always knew I hated high school pretty much since my first day of like kindergarten. I think my mom was telling me I was like crying at kindergarten, like the very first day I ever like left my house. And yeah, so I just don't like that environment. I want to be free and I want to learn things on my own and I want to learn by being out in the world. So before I get into how my parents reacted to me wanting to drop out of high school, I'll tell the story of what led me to dropping out of high school.
Okay. That sounds awesome.
So, you know, I've always, like I said, hated high school. I've always been kind of like, oh, I need to get out. I need to start doing stuff for myself. And mountain biking kind of was a catalyst for this. So I had a friend, Kelsey Hoog. You guys probably know Kelsey.
Big shout out to Kelsey, yeah.
Big shout out to Kelsey. He's the realest. I was talking to him one day at the dirt jumps, Fallbrook dirt jumps in Thornton.
Yeah.
Literally been rebuilt all the time. But I was talking to him there and I was like, yo, Kelsey, like, how do you always have time to ride bikes and be out here just like having fun and doing your thing? And because I know he was like, you know, not old enough to have been graduated high school yet.
Yeah, he was like full-time riding at like, I don't think
like 16, 17.
We should ask him to be on the podcast at some point.
Definitely. Yeah. So
because he was killing it on a bike when he was like 15, 14.
Definitely. Yeah, he's crushing it. But yeah, I was like, yo, Kelsey, how do you always have time to do all this stuff? And he's like, well, I got dropped out of high school and I got my GED. I was like, oh, what's the GED? He's like, well, it's the general education diploma. I was like, okay, like tell me more. So he told me a little bit about how he got it. And so I started doing a bunch of research on it. looked up, everything that I needed to know. I started doing some practice tests online. And at the time, I was 15. And I believe in the state of Colorado, you have to be 18.
Really?
But I did some digging around. I found this form online that allows you to do it when you're 15 or above, I think it was. So I found this form, I filled it out, and basically like presented this whole pitch packet to my parents of like, hey, like here's what I want to do, here's my plan. I know it's super crazy. Give it some thought.
I'm literally picturing you like the classic like trifold poster board and like if you look here, Mom and Dad.
No, it was PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It was PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Click with the laser pointer.
It wasn't that crazy. I had like all the information, stuffed away somewhere on my computer, but I was basically just like, didn't really present them with any papers. I was just like, hey, like here's my plan. I'm pretty much gonna do it if you guys let me. And they were at first just like, what? There's no way. Prove to us that this is real. And you found this form online so you can do it when you're 15. Like, what is this? So presented all that. A couple of months went by of just me nagging them about it all the time. And finally, I just went to my last day of school. And, I was pretty sure I'd like convince my parents at that point. I really didn't get the final okay or anything. But I went into my last day of school and basically just told all my teachers, like, hey, like, I appreciate you guys and, like, everything you do. Like, don't take this disrespectfully, but I'm going to, like, be dropping out today. And pretty much everyone was like, what? Like, who do you think you are? But there was one teacher, Priestley Parker, who was really cool, and I always knew he was cool. And he was like, you know what, Connor, like, I'm stoked for you. Like, congratulations. Like, let me know how it goes. So that was when I was like 15, and I'm 22 now. So it's been a minute.
That's awesome, though, that, like, I feel like there's always, like, one teacher that gets it, right? Like, I remember there was always, like, one or two teachers where you're like, these are the only people who actually understand, like, what's really going on in the world and, like, school's place within it and all that.
Yeah,
that's
teachers.
cool that you had at least one teacher that was like, no, I think this is actually good for you. Like, that's awesome, and supported you.
Right, like a teacher that, kind of also understands the education system and how, young people are realizing that this is not for them and that they can educate themselves on YouTube or, mostly like anything on the internet. There's so much stuff out there. And all through high school, I mean, like, at least after I bought my first camera, I had always been, on YouTube learning. And I was like, wow, like, I'm literally learning way more than I do at school every day, just like with an hour on YouTube. Yeah. And, that kind of sucks that I was wasting all that time at school.
Yeah, for sure.
That was like a huge thing. Is like, I'm wasting so much time.
It is like,
let's move on.
An outdated model, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's some stuff that, like, algebra.
Yeah, a lot of it just doesn't fit into what
know.
Society's become.
Right, and if you want to learn algebra, that's great, but for 90% of people that don't, you're wasting your time. And I think there is a value in going to school that I understand now that I didn't understand then, as far as, like, the social interaction and being around people and that kind of thing that I didn't understand then. And looking back on it, I wish I took that more serious. But yeah, the actual classes of it are a waste of time.
It's great to have a place to go and, like, be there every day. And especially when you're really young, your parents don't have a place. They go to work every day. They need a place to bring you. Oh, totally. So it's great for that. It's great for the social aspect. It's great to be around people. But the class structure, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think
are there 5 careers like math, science?
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of careers within those subjects, but there's so much more beyond those, 5-6 basic subjects that are, part of this super important curriculum that we have.
Yeah, I feel like if we took the social aspect and like leaned into it more heavily, I think it would become like the most valuable thing. Like
Definitely.
there should be classes on like, as silly as it sounds, like how to make friends or like
Yeah.
literal actual life skills where like everyone says it's not what you know, it's who you know. And then they spend a bunch of time teaching you what to know instead of how to make those connections and create actual friendships with the who's that will matter.
Right, like required reading, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Exactly. Yeah, like that book changed my life, and like things like that. I think there's a lot of value in learning how to learn, which is part of school. But again, I just don't think the structure fits anymore because our society's become so kind of free-flowing versus before it wasn't.
Pretty rigid.
And it's a large part of it is just social media and the internet, and like we're in this crazy time that no one could have guessed 50 years ago when they made the school system. And
right, like
it just
is coding required now? I doubt it,
should
but
be.
it should be.
Absolutely.
I wish I knew how. I couldn't do anything.
I mean, I don't think it should be required, but I think it should be an option. You know, you should be able to have those options.
It probably is an option, I would guess.
But it's probably not like a heavily
it's not
option.
It's not encouraged.
And like, I like the idea of the same way that you have to learn like basic math, learning basic coding, or like learning like again like required reading is How to Win Friends and Influence People, or like spending some of the budget that you would have spent on like some of the more outdated things, where in all actuality, like the amount of people that are really interested in taking super serious, like high level sciences is probably a lot less. And there's so much, or maybe not sciences, but like like algebra, and like my freshman year math class was calc trig honors. And I was like, right away, like,
hate those words.
I'll never use this. Like, I was so proud of myself for getting there, and then immediately being like, God help me if I use this every day for my job. Like, I don't want this.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like, shout out to the people who do know these things, because they use crazy math in like NASA and stuff.
Our friend is a rocket scientist.
I listened to that podcast. He's a legend.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude!
Wow.
Big shout out to the rocket doctor. But like that's the point. Like he knew he wanted to do that really young, and I think opening up the door.
That's not necessarily true.
He told me a story of in second grade. He told his teacher that he was going to work on the Hubble Space Telescope, and then his teacher told him he'd never do it. And then he wrote that teacher back when he worked on the Hubble Space Telescope before he even graduated college.
Why didn't you tell that story on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he has tons of stories like that where, like, he's like a nth degree black belt in some martial art and stuff.
Because in the podcast he talked about he was debating either rocket science or dance. It was like his debate.
But that's...
I don't know if maybe that was just a joke.
No, I guarantee that's so real. But that's kind of what you're talking about, is like letting people know that the world really is their oyster, and to find out what they're passionate about first and then see what they can apply to that, versus saying you have to learn all of these skills and then find something that you're passionate about using those skills.
Exactly.
Like that, I think, is the biggest shift in difference, is now there's just more options with where we can go in our lives than there was 50 years ago. And so
for sure, just
that small shift of just putting the priorities different, of spending more time in the hard part of life, which is finding out what you're passionate about, what you want your life to be about, and then the how-tos come pretty quick.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's really like, the hard part, but, we should have fun and do what we feel like we should, And I feel like if we have fun and let ourselves be who we are, then that will lead us to be finding our passions. I don't think that we really need to, I feel like I might have struggled a little bit with what is my passion, like earlier on, but, I think that will come naturally to most of us if we're having fun and doing ourselves. So
yeah, amen to that. I mean, that's kind of how we stumbled upon this whole Joy Quota thing. Dylan and I just kept finding ourselves having more fun than everyone else we knew. And when we would tell people about our antics or some crazy story we got into, and then everyone would be like, that's crazy. I never would have thought that you could have made sledding that fun, or like whatever it was. And we would just be like, well, that's a shame, because we really think you can have fun doing just about anything.
It's pretty easy if
you're just ready to have some.
Just give it a shot.
So,
but I think that comes down to your family a little bit too, right? Like,
definitely. Like, if you have like opportunities or not.
Well, yeah. And just because your family let you have dreams. Like, I've heard stories from people that they didn't even know they could have a dream.
Right. Yep. For sure. It's because they might have been like pushed down or like, not given the opportunity to dream. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is what we need to like try to fix, is like, from when you're born, you need to be treated as a human, and you need to be treated good. And if there's time in between from when you're born and, you're like even 5 years old and you haven't been treated good, then, that might that will stick with you, I think. And I think it does stick with people. And
absolutely.
If you're like kind of like the whole concept of, if you grow up in a bad family, then, you might like kind of take those traits on.
Yeah, it perpetuates itself.
And that's, I don't even think it makes it a bad family.
Yeah.
It's just like, for some people, it's just like, you need to work to provide for your family. This is how it is. You need to get a job and do this. They don't even know that they're missing out on anything.
Right.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I actually just heard a story about one of my relative in-laws who we were joking around. I was telling them about how much fun I'm having with this podcast and how like I'm really committed to making this, regardless of whatever happens to it. Like, this is something I'm 100% in on. Like, I'm way more committed to this than I am my job, my 9 to 5. Like, this is what's filling the tank for me.
Right.
That's what's letting me do this. Right. It's a means to an end versus this is the reward. And I was kind of explaining that to them, and they were telling me how their husband was talking about work in a very different way, where he's like, yeah, you're not supposed to enjoy it. It's called work. You go there and you do it, and then you come home. And I was like, that's the saddest thing, because I feel like there's so many people who have that mentality of you're not supposed to enjoy something. Mm-hmm. I enjoy learning lessons the hard way even. Like, it's very rare where I can't find a little bit of satisfaction or enjoyment out of even like a really hard lesson to learn, where I'm like, at least I only have to learn this once. Like,
true.
Versus just the idea of going to something that you don't like doing and doesn't fill you up, and you're just dead while you're there, and you spend 8 to 10 hours there a day is crazy to me.
No doubt. And, even some of like those jobs that those people are in, that they're just like, oh, I'm just going there to work. I feel like there's people out there that would be stoked to do those jobs.
Yeah, and even that person could find something about, like, I've specifically tried to have bad days at work, because I'll be like angry about something that's going on in the company, and just because we're human beings, like, I'll go to work already upset and like, like I hate everything, and within 2 hours I cannot help myself from laughing and like goofing around and really enjoying myself, despite however like whether it's shoveling snow in the middle of a blizzard or like all these things where I really should be having a terrible time. I cannot help but make jokes and laugh and enjoy myself despite my circumstances. And I think that's kind of, at least for me, a skill that I'd like to share with others. It's a skill. Like,
it is
I
a skill.
spent so much time learning how to enjoy everything, which has made it hard to, like, in some sense, pick and choose things sometimes. Like, I let myself stay someplace I shouldn't be because I can enjoy it. But that's a much better problem to have, I feel like, than being able to spend a bunch of time someplace that you hate.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill to learn how to enjoy kind of like, maybe boring or shitty moments of life, But once you do, you kind of push past that barrier, and then you realize, are these really shitty moments, or are these just moments that are just passing by, and I'm just passing by it as well? You know? At the end of the day, it's usually all good.
Yeah, I got a saying, either you're going to die and your problems will be over, or you're going to get through it and your problems will be over. So either way, I probably wouldn't worry.
That's a good one.
No doubt, no doubt.
But it is a lot easier said than done.
Amen to that.
Yes, amen to that for sure. And I'm sitting here talking about it too, but I can think back to literally just little things in the last few days that I've been kind of mad about this, but I'm going to get over it really fast. As fast as I can.
Well, and I feel like what Dylan was talking about of the environment, he said the word family. To me, that means something different, but the people you spend time with really matter. And
definitely.
The other night when we missed our trip to Cancun or to Mexico that we'd been really dying for. Me and my wife were going to go there for a wedding. We've been looking forward to it. It's going to be the first time I got to ride my bike in 2 months. I was just jonesing. And all of a sudden, a crazy blizzard happens, out of my control. Boeing has a recall, out of my control. Yeah. And I just got so down, and I just sat in a dark room by myself for 30 minutes until Allie and Dylan came and found me, and they're like, no, dude, none of that is on you. We're going to make this awesome. And they pulled me out of it. Yeah. Versus I don't know if a lot of people have that environment. And again, that's just something I try and
I want to be committed to come pull you out of shitty situation or whatever.
Well, to just remind you of like you said, it's hard to keep that cavalier attitude of it's all going to be fine. Exactly. It's really important to surround yourself with people who are outside of the eye of the storm that can reach in and be like, see, it's just a storm. It's literally moving. It will pass.
Yeah, I have a really good friend, Annabelle, who I was just on a shoot with, and she's always out of the storm. She's one of the chillest people I know and great human. But I was about to do this drone shot up in the mountains, and it was a high pressure situation, and I went to go launch my drone, and it just stopped working, and it needed to be recalibrated. And basically, by that time that I realized that, it was too late. And I got a little bit annoyed, and Annabelle just kind of brought me back down to earth and was like, yo, this is not a big deal. And I was like, yo, you're right. You're right. I appreciate that. And it's good to have those people around, just give you that little quick reminder. And yeah, it's good. So I'm like you said, it is a skill to, push past those moments, and it's a skill that I think we're all working on. So
well, and you do need to have those people, because when you're in that, you're never going to want to reach out. Yeah, right? You don't want to reach out to that. You want to be in that and just feel bad about yourself and all this. And then, so you need the people that are going to come and pull you out of it. That's important.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a very different drone situation.
There's so many drone situations, man. There's so many.
The drones they're so cool, but they're also so frustrating.
Right.
Well, I guess that's another cool thing we can talk about is you've done some really amazing videography projects. You've gotten to do some really cool stuff. What are some of your favorite things you've got to work on project-wise? I know you've taken some adventures overseas, and I feel like you've just done a lot and you've filmed a lot. What are some of the highlights from all that?
Yeah, so there's been a bunch of different things to kind of happen since I started videography and photography. A couple special projects that have just been on my mind and have been in the mix lately. One of them is called Dad Ventures, and Dad Ventures is a series that follows dads around the globe doing adventures, could be anything, with their sons or daughters.
What?
And
that's the greatest thing ever.
So we have a pilot episode out right now with my good friend Wade Holland and his dad Pat Holland. And Pat Holland is a very smart doctor. I can't remember exactly what kind of doctor he is, but he's a doctor that lives in Montana, OBGYN.
Oh,
doctor.
Yeah, that's super specific.
So he goes on adventures with Wade in the Montana backcountry, And basically, we spent a whole week shooting with Pat and Wade, basically doing a dad venture in the Montana backcountry. We went in on snowmobiles, brought all of our equipment on sleds to this little cabin that their buddy Timmy had out in the backcountry, and we set up shop in there. And then for the next week, we went out and did all these shots of the dad venture and kind of told the story through a pilot episode. So we're hoping to get this off the ground, and we showed it at the last 14er Film Festival here in Denver at 14er Brewing, and got some really, really good feedback for it. So I think Dad Ventures is going to be a winner.
Dude, sight unseen, I'm signing up Party Dave right now. My dad, Party Dave.
All right, let's go. Let's get
For
Party
real,
Dave.
he lives down in Durango. We could do
perfect.
something like within 2 months.
Cool.
He's the best.
He goes sailing. He goes to Everest Base Camp.
What?
He went to Everest Base Camp for his 60th. He's climbed Kilimanjaro with
Holy
2
shit.
kidney stones. He gave a homemade sandrail to a blind kid growing up.
Holy shit.
He's the best, yeah.
I didn't know that one.
He
Wow.
taught the kid how to drive this thing blind. So the kid would operate the gas and brake, and he would drive for him. And then when he moved out of that town, he just I don't know what the specifics are, but he gave the kid the buggy, which that's the kind of stuff where I guarantee that person's in a totally different place because they experience the freedom of. Everyone should have said, no, you shouldn't drive that thing. But my dad's definitely the kind of...
right. I mean, you're blind.
But that's my dad of being no, we'll work a way around it. Let's find a fun way to get you involved.
Yeah, that's
No,
cool.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
sure.
totally down.
That's awesome.
I'm
Well,
signing
dude,
him up already.
let's get him on a dad venture. Let's seriously plan for it.
Yeah,
It
we're
sounds
going to the
awesome.
sand dunes next month.
Oh, cool.
We could go to the alligator farm down there. I bet
I
with
love
enough-
that. Have you been to the UFO farm or the
No.
UFO watchtower? It's literally right across from the
I'm
alligator
down.
farm.
Dude, let's do
And
all
it's
of that.
funny.
I've seen it,
It's
yeah.
funny that you mentioned that because Wade, the son of the dad, he.
Dead battery.
Should we pause?
Camera 3.
No, keep going.
We'll just take a different angle.
Yeah. So, what was it? Okay. So Wade. Yeah. The son of the dad for the dad venture. Me and him were actually at the sand dunes not too long ago, and we stopped at the alligator farm. We stopped at the UFO watchtower, and we were shooting content for Colorado Native Beer, and we were doing sand skiing.
Yeah.
So we ripped the sand dunes on some Meyer skis and Colorado Native collab skis, and it was a really cool project. We went back there and camped for the night. It was a really long hike in because we hiked all the way up to Star Dune, which is the highest.
Dude, those dunes
Sand
are
dune.
huge.
Yeah, so Star Dune is the highest sand dune in North America, and we were basically camping right below it. So in the morning we could go up and send Star Dune.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was
dude,
really cool.
I'm fully down for all of this shenanigans. That's the greatest idea. I love the idea of dad ventures.
Right.
That's such a Joy Quota idea of everything should be awesome. Everyone
No
has a
doubt.
story. There's just because you're a dad doesn't mean life's over. It means you get this whole new door to enter through and see where it leads instead of life's over.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a big part of it too is, dads have a lot of knowledge and you know, share it on an adventure.
Absolutely.
It's really cool just kind of tying that in with doing cool shit with your dad.
Dude, even the real Papa Foal, we call Dylan Papa Foal, but yeah, Bruce Foal would be an awesome.
We're building a race car right now.
Oh, this is already perfect. Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten me into anything I've done, I've taken to another level, but he's the one that got me into it. I mean, we had a boat and we're wakeboarding when I was 10 or younger, whatever. I mean, he made me switch from skiing to snowboarding when I was 12, and I hated it. I was so miserable. And we still go now.
That's amazing.
What else? He took us paragliding
Nice.
for our birthdays last year. All of it.
Yeah, Bruce is the
Cool.
man.
That's awesome. Where was the paragliding at?
Glenwood Springs.
Nice. I was shooting some paragliding this morning, actually, with my good friend Ariane Tudor. She's a real badass paraglider and figure skater. And we were working on a project this morning in Boulder. She was doing some flying and just going up, soaring for a few hours while we did shots. And we had the radio just like, hey, like, Ariane, come over here for this shot or whatever. Like, come fly down here. And yeah, she's a total badass. And her dad holds some like crazy hang gliding record. And yeah, she like flies from Boulder all the way to, Lyons, Colorado Springs. She's flew to like almost Loveland Pass before, and all the way back to Boulder, just in the same flight.
It's crazy how far you can go. Yeah. I was talking to someone about that. They were saying like, you can go like pretty much anywhere through there that isn't too high. Yeah, like that seems to be the big limiting factor as you run out of air. But like, the fact that you can go to Lyons and back, just like hanging out.
Well, exactly. He just likes Lyons because there's pinball there.
That is true. Pinball, go there to Lyons, land, grab a beer, launch, go back to Boulder, get in your car, go home. What is that?
I wonder if you could launch, though. Could you? Yeah. It's kind of flat.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a launch in Lyons because she flies back to Boulder. So. Yeah.
I would assume you just like hitchhike a ride.
I figured
up to
she
the top.
like goes there, like looks at it, and then comes.
Oh
back.
No, yeah, you land, get a brewski, get an Oscar Blues brewski, and then go back. But yeah, I recently went paragliding, and so my first time paragliding was an interesting experience. My friend Marcos, who has been paragliding pretty much his whole life, and he now owns a company called Atlas Digital, and they do marketing and stuff. And I was doing video for one of his clients who's a doctor in Boulder, and he was there with me, and we finished the shoot, and we're like, awesome, we crushed it. And then Marcos was like, hey dude, like I got my tandem paraglider rig in the car, like do you want to go for a ride really quick? And I was like, you didn't really give me any notice, but yeah, let's go. And we were already like pretty much only 5 minutes away from the hill. So I was like, all right, this is already getting real.
Yes. That's so the best.
Literally I went from my, professional, like, all right, I'm here on a job. Let's get this done. Be professional to like, I'm about to fly. So yeah, we went up. We parked his car, and then we took an Uber to the top of this one of the hills in Boulder. And you get off, do a quick little hike to the ridge.
That I think has probably changed those type of sports that I didn't even think about. It's like any kind of like longboarding or paragliding where you don't want to walk your ass up the hill. You can just Uber up.
Yeah,
that's game changing. That was my first thought. As soon as the sentence came out, I was like,
yeah, that's really
brilliant. There's so many people in those sports that were just like, as soon as they saw Uber was a thing, like, done.
Yeah, for sure. So we took the Uber up there, and he like gave me, this harness or whatever. Is like, all right, hop in, boom, you're good, you're strapped in. And then he strapped me onto the paraglider, and like I'm in front of him. Like, and so he's like getting everything ready, and he's like, all right, man, like when I tell you to go, like just run as fast as you can off this steep ass hill. So I'm like, all right, sure. Like I trust you. I've seen your videos, you paragliding, and I know how much of a badass you are. So I guess I trust you with this. And yeah, sure enough, like I started running, and it was really hard to like run off the hill, but soon enough, it just like whoosh, it just took you up, and it pulls you up like so fast. Like the thermals were really strong that day. So yeah, we just plopped right up, and he was soaring like over the cliffs with me, and I'm just sitting there like on the front, literally with like my feet dangling, like looking below at Boulder.
Like the best view, I'm sure.
Best view. And he's like, eventually he's like starts doing these like movements where you spiral down.
Yeah.
And holy shit, my stomach was sinking so hard. I was like, bro, we need to slow down a little bit. I'm going to throw up. But it was really cool. It was a great experience, and definitely was like a joy quota filling moment. Like it definitely filled my joy quota.
Totally.
After I did that, I was juiced. Like I had never done. That was a new experience, New experiences are crazy.
I was
the first time riding a bike. Like I forget what that feels like. This has been forever. But first time paragliding, it's like a fresh feeling. Yeah. So I'm just like, holy shit, this is crazy.
I feel like that's come up pretty consistently. Like doing something new always fills the joy quota. Like, best question to ask yourself is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? It does, even if it's like the smallest thing, it makes such a big difference if it's genuinely the first time you've ever done it. Like,
Yeah, actually,
I made a pizza
I
at
was
my
literally-
house from scratch, or like anything. You'll feel so pumped because it's new and it's exciting. It keeps life interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you brought up the pizza because for some reason, I was like, I remember like cooking sweet potato fries, and it was so simple. But I was like, I love sweet potato fries. I need to learn how to cook these things for myself.
Yes.
So I did, and I was eating them, and I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. Like, freaking just made my own sweet potato fries. This is cool.
Yeah,
That's
Learn
what's
something
awesome.
new.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
Doesn't have to be
gliding off
doesn't
of a
have-
cliff.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that. Yeah, that's really awesome. But it could be, make some sweet potato fries.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the perfect example of like jumping off of a cliff and paragliding 5 minutes after you found out you were going to do it. It's probably more juice, but it still fills up the tank to just make
No
some
doubt.
sweet potato fries for the first time. I felt that same feeling. Dylan introduced me to eating sweet potato. I'd never had one in my entire life, well into my 20s.
Really?
And Dylan got me. The only reason I even stopped eating bagel bites consistently is Dylan Foley. He's gotten me to a place where I eat so much better than I used to.
Which
and I
is
still
funny
don't
because
eat great.
chips and salsa is like a staple meal for him.
Yeah, dude,
That
it's
is a-
basically my
So that's
way of
better
getting
than-
vegetables.
I didn't teach you that. I
No.
won't take credit for that one.
That's my own creativity right there. No, literally, I remember that same feeling of like, I just cooked my own food for the first time. I made like a meal. I made protein that wasn't Hamburger Helper.
Right,
and
it
I
used to
made
be-
like a
when
real
we didn't
meal.
live together, actually, you were on it, like with your sweet potatoes and broccoli and whatever meat.
Yeah.
Like that was your
That was
meal,
when I
and-
took my...
And then now it's I don't know, chips and salsa and
I've been pretty good since the six-pack challenge
Pretty
started. Mexico trip, quote unquote, doesn't
that's
count.
Fair, that's fair.
But I feel like I've been pretty solid. That literally like so big that the smallest things can make these huge joy quota moments.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden you're like this rush of endorphins every single time you do something new because there's some degree of uncertainty there, no matter how small.
Definitely. And then you're going to take that experience and that feeling and then go back to, maybe something you're working on and have a fresh outtake on it.
Yeah.
That's why, if I'm like editing or something or I'm working on a project, I'll just take some time to like just go outside and just sit there, just do nothing and come back inside with a fresh perspective. And, it could be anything. Like could go for a bike ride, could go make some sweet potato fries.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know? And then get back to work and then have a fresh perspective. And I think creativity is one of like actually the hardest part of like some of the work that I do is like, okay, I really need to like keep my ideas fresh. And before that is like keeping my mind fresh and like keeping my ideas, flowing, and that, that can be difficult sometimes. And sometimes that's harder than just the physical work.
Yeah.
Is trying to be, new and real. So bring fresh ideas to the table, I think, is a challenge. But it has a big payoff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're speaking straight into our life. Like everything we're doing with the YouTube channel and this, like, we have many, many brainstorming sessions of just like, all right, we want to, not even like need to, because you need to, but like that's irrelevant. Like we want to come up with fun, creative, new ideas, even if it's not
Right.
new to the world, like it's new to us.
true.
And
yeah.
You're right. It's so much harder than actually doing the thing is sitting there and letting yourself come up with ideas and not,
Right.
just kind of letting that creativity take place and letting your
Yeah.
mind really create something amazing.
Definitely. And I think, like it is hard, but at the same time, I feel like you shouldn't think too hard about it.
Yeah, it's not
You
a
know?
thinking, it's like a listening exercise.
It is a listening exercise, listening to, whatever that could be, different inspirations that you have, different thoughts that are running through your mind. Depends on the project, obviously, And I think another big thing about it, too, is once you have your idea and once that comes through, during the process of, either it could be creating a photo shoot, creating a video, anything to do creatively, I think, from your original thought of what this would look like from the beginning to the end point, it actually ends up always being a lot different than you think. But it always, is what needs to be. So things go through a big process of the creation. Things are always changing, and a project will never be 100% how you want it to be.
No, that's for sure.
So true.
But it's always better.
Right. I think, I mean,
almost always.
Almost always.
Yeah.
Almost always. Yeah.
I mean, if you have to choose to look at it that way. Yeah.
You have to choose to look at it that way, right? That's true.
Because either like it worked, if it genuinely worked exactly the way that. Perfect example. We sledded off the roof the other day, and Dylan and I.
Which that idea, by the way, came just because I was walking from the garage to the house while there was snow on the ground, and I was like, I bet you could sled off that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was just
listening
creativity
exercise.
The
idea came up, and you were open to listening to it.
Listening, I don't know if that's the right word for it. To me, it's more like observing. That's taking it in.
Right,
but it's very much like a passive thing. It's not like you're creating ideas. It's you're receiving them. You're open to it. Continue.
Open to it.
No. I interrupted you. I just wanted to say, like, we're talking about where ideas come from, and that specific one. Did this just literally fall into my brain because I was walking the 10 feet from our garage to our back door, and there's a perfect roof to sled off of. So.
Well, and that's an example of something that went exactly the way that we planned it. Like, literally, we were like, we should do this. We spent several hours building up the landing, and then first try, it worked perfectly, and we did it 4 or 5 times, and we immediately were like, well, that was honestly kind of boring. Like, who would have guessed that sledding off of the roof wasn't exciting? But it's because it worked first try, no problems. Like, it worked exactly like what we had in our mind, where we would just build a landing and it would be flawless. And that's exactly what happened. And then it turned into us setting the snow on fire and making this like crazy event out of it. But that
was the starting point.
That's the part we never would have pictured. And that's where it ended up. And that's where like it ended up better than what we had pictured.
It's a very good example of that. True. And then you start throwing backflips on the sled too.
Dude, yeah. Next stop is to drop in surfer style.
Ooh, hit me up when you guys do that. I actually want to sled off the roof.
Yeah, it's a good way to break a collarbone, I'm sure. But it'd be sick.
So yeah, we have the snow skate, and I wanted to do it so bad, but
by then we chopped away the whole landing.
Well, no, that wasn't even it. It's the fence, and then the corner of the garage is so precarious. Yeah. Like, I just pictured my face going into the chain link fence is what I pictured.
It was tight quarters.
The corner of the garage, and just smashing my teeth out is my is probably my biggest fear.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know. I think my biggest fear, would be to like be paralyzed or like just, I don't know, be blind or I think blind.
Blind.
I think
blind would be. That's like such a freak thing that I don't know how.
Is it anymore?
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like
actually I know Allie's mom knows a guy. She went and took care of him the other day. Huge shout out to her for being an amazing person. This dude sneezed real hard, and it detached his retinas.
And he went blind from sneezing?
Yeah.
Oh, I've actually heard about that happening.
They were able to do a lot of work on him, and like I think he has his vision back mostly in one eye or something like that. But yeah, like Jesus, as crazy as it is.
Afraid of sneezing?
No, dude.
With your eyes closed.
No.
Sneezing with your eyes closed, if you force your eyes to stay closed, that's what I've heard will like make
I figured it would be like an open. Who sneezes with their eyes open?
Or wait, no, you're right. It's the other way around.
I was like, what?
Sneezing with your eyes open.
Yeah. I don't know the specifics, and who knows, like, that's like fifth-hand information, so it's probably played telephone a little bit, but yeah, but all the more important to, like, really choose wisely, like Dylan did. Like, we both looked at the situation where, like, snow skates are impossible to ride to begin with, much less, like, if we lay down horizontally, we're touching the fence, and the garage. So, like, if we fall, the only option is to hit one of those things.
Yeah.
Versus in a sled, like, you can kind of crash and you're still moving forward. But I feel like you've done a lot of really fun stuff. And speaking of creative, I know that you've gotten a chance to do some really fun trolling that most people have never had a chance to do. Tell us about that, because I feel like that's, again, just being open to the opportunity for creative inspiration, where all of a sudden you're like, this is a thing I can do. I need to do this.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a friend, Marquette King. He was the punter on the Oakland Raiders for a few years, I think, and he got traded to the Denver Broncos. And I met him through my friend Anna, and basically Marquette hit me up and was like, hey, man, Anna told me you did videos, and I'm playing for the Broncos, and I want to make a video about Chucky. And so do you guys know who Chucky is?
I do not follow sports close enough.
Yeah, and I didn't either before this. And I was like, okay, tell me more. So Chucky is apparently the nickname of the Oakland Raiders coach.
Okay.
Because he looks like the Chucky doll. So he's like, I want to make this video about Chucky, and I'm going to post it after our big game with the Raiders when we win.
Yes, that's the kind of confidence I can get behind.
Yeah, solid confidence. And I was like, all right, man, I'm with you. I'm with the confidence. Let's do this. You guys are going to win. So he basically had this idea to do a video just punting a Chucky doll off a parking garage in Denver. Very, very simple. And so I was like, all right, meet me at this parking garage. I think this would be a good spot. So I met him there, met Marquette King there, and he showed up with the Chucky doll and a bottle of wine, and we set up a little video of him, punting this Chucky doll off of the parking garage stuffed full of money.
What? That is such a good twist.
And it's kind of like a, metaphor for Chucky being paid like so much money. I think for a team that's doing well. I don't know. I don't follow football, but I'm sure it's like
notoriously terrible of recent years.
Well, there's more to it, I think, because I don't think he's been the coach for very long. Like he was, and I could be totally wrong. I could be thinking about something else, but I think he went away and then came back pretty recently and got a massive contract to turn the team around. I believe is the story.
Okay, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Football has a lot of drama going on with it. And Marquette is actually one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And he's kind of just like, bro, I ain't with all this football drama. He's like, I just want to be myself.
Yes.
And that also kind of is why I think Chucky didn't like him, maybe. Chucky and him had beef. So that's why we ended up doing this video. But basically, it's a video of him punting a Chucky doll off of the roof of a parking garage. So the video starts out, he's sitting on the ledge of the parking garage, and the Chucky doll is sitting there. And they kind of have like this stare down. And then Marquette walks towards him, kneels down next to the Chucky doll, and then you see a shot of the Chucky doll's eyes. And also, I should say, Marquette is also very talented in music. So he made a track for this video that was based off of like the Chucky theme song or something. Okay. And he like added some flair to it. So it was like kind of dope. And it was like suspenseful also. So that's the video. And he bends down and he grabs the Chucky doll, punts it off the roof. But I have to say that only one part of this video was ever released before he punted the doll off of the roof. And it was released... he told me, he's like, I only want to release half of this before I punt the doll, and then I'm going to release the next part when we beat the Raiders again.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, man, sure. So sure enough, I was watching the game, like, with all my family and stuff, and they beat the Raiders, and then sure enough, Marquette posted the video on Twitter, and within, like, a couple hours, it had, probably close to 100,000 views.
That's nuts.
And So this video blew up, and it was on USA Today, ESPN, kind of Barstool Sports, and all these like crazy.
Huge. If it's on Barstool, that's giant.
So
that's like bigger to me than USA Today.
And keep in mind, this was only before he punted the doll.
Yeah.
So he didn't even punt the doll. All he did was look at it and kneel down by the Chucky doll. And for some reason, people thought this video was so funny. And USA Today even had a quote that said something along the lines of, we're pretty like surprised Marquette, posted this video right after they won, and like the production value of it is really high. And I was like, all right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a compliment.
Shot it on my A7S too.
Did they credit you?
Marquette credited me in the actual post, but USA Today didn't. They didn't credit me. I don't care.
It's kind of a bummer. That's another discussion.
That's another discussion. That's
that
a whole other discussion.
Down a very different rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But anyways, the video pretty much went viral, and then I was like, "Yo, Marquette, when are we should just post part 2?" And then he's like, "Coach of the Broncos told me not to post part 2."
Oh, no. What a classy move! But I get it. I get it, but I feel like he should have just rebel-runned it.
Yeah.
He's an NFL player.
Yeah.
Away with it.
Well, I get
it
anyway, so he's gone. We got a new.
It's not even that. It's not even like,
bro.
It's just him punting the Chucky doll off the roof, and then money flies everywhere.
Dude, how great is he still playing for the Broncos?
No, he's not playing for the Broncos anymore. But I think he is actually going to be going to another team. Maybe I'm not sure what he's doing.
Was he in like a jersey or anything when he did the stare down and all that?
No, just his regular clothes.
Would that be
so you can't.
If whenever he's on like the next team, if they beat the Raiders, and then just like he doesn't even let you know, just all of a sudden he posts the second half of the video.
That'd be freaking hilarious.
Yeah, so the second half of the video is literally just sitting on my hard drive, and also the Chucky doll is sitting in my closet.
Wow,
so,
you kept it.
I don't know. Maybe I should like auction off the doll plus a single copy of the second half on eBay.
Well, that single copy is about to be 1,000 jillion copies as soon as you give it away.
Right.
You don't want to.
I don't think I should give it away.
No, you might be able to get away with the Chucky doll though.
I could give the Chucky doll away, but the part 2 of the video.
You should sign it and send it to him.
You gotta now. It's not gonna be worth anything because it's too long ago. People are not gonna remember it. You gotta wait till he beats the Raiders, put out part 2, and then auction off the Chucky doll with that. Like, call up
get him
USA
to
Today
sign it. Yeah, you can both sign the Chucky doll.
Right. But that was funny, man. That was
sweet.
It was funny getting to work with Marquette, and he's an awesome human and really creative, and I think the NFL actually needs more players like him.
Yeah, I feel like there's actually been like a transition. Like I feel like Von Miller's like a surprisingly wonderful all-around person.
Yeah, he's a cool human.
There's a lot of people I feel like turning up in the NFL where they're not viewing it as like. I don't think by any means it's anything too crazy, but like I think there's a lot of people in the NFL who have recently started seeing it as like, this is my job. I'm blessed to get to do this, and I'm not supposed to take this life or death. Like, this is something that I get to do, and this is something I'm in the entertainment business, and it has no effect over whether or not I have to be a good person or like whether or not I. Like you said, he has so many other talents outside of football, and like he's a well-rounded individual versus before. I guess maybe we're just now learning about it, and it's always been that way. But I feel like growing up, football players were always just like only football, nothing else mattered. Versus now, like you see so many NFL players who have crazy passions outside of football.
I think it's more the perception because I bet they were always doing it. It's just now the NFL with some of the heat that they're taking over concussions and stuff, that they think they can counteract that with like charity stuff, which I don't think you can, but it's awesome that that's happened. Like the concussions is a whole nother thing, which sucks, but I'm the biggest football fan in the world, so I like play right into it.
I mean, I'm all for turning them into real people instead of turning them into like these crazy, like you see all these, like Von Miller just did a podcast where he like right away you're like, oh, he's just like a regular dude
Mm-hmm.
who just has a cooler job than I do. Like that's really all. You're like, he's just like seems like a fun guy. He just happens to have a way cooler job than me.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like if you have a big following, to be real and live that. I'm just a normal person. You can do this too. Because if you don't, then people are going to be like, oh, this life is so unattainable or whatever, Just be real.
Which I think goes back to that billionaire question we started with, right?
Definitely.
Like,
I think it does.
In all seriousness, like Dylan mentioned, it's a big responsibility to be a billionaire. It's not just a privilege.
Right.
That's part of the responsibility, is being like, nothing about me is different other than our income.
Right.
That other than that, me and every other person, we are in essence the same. We're all bleeding the same blood. We're all people.
Right.
And I think
we're all going to die someday.
Yeah, I think that's something that honestly, I feel like just in general society's been a lot better about, as of recently anyways. Like in some ways worse, but in a lot of ways I feel like we've made leaps and bounds of where no one is really so high on a pedestal.
Definitely.
Or like we're really finding
except for Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
I was literally just thinking Kardashian shit.
They're on the pedestal.
But I mean, you're not.
Everyone else is.
You're not going to be 100 for 100. But I mean, that's kind of something that I feel like a lot of realness, as you've been saying, or like just being genuinely authentic, has been promoted and accepted as a real value.
Yeah.
And I think just leaning more and more into that, I think is
yeah,
is a
and I
big
think just
solution.
being real with yourself, and not like if you were like the Kardashians, like would you really be living your best life?
It seems like a lot of work when I see people.
That's
who have
what
to
it
put on
seems
that.
like on the outside, but is it really?
Yeah, it seems like being anything other than yourself seems like a lot of work. Like, I know some people where being this giant, extravagant character is actually who they are. Like, as silly as it sounds.
Oh yeah.
To me, it looks exhausting because I'm
But that's
only
who they are,
capable
yeah.
of just like, I want you to know all of my flaws, all of my strengths as soon as I meet you, so that we can just get real as quick as possible. Versus, I know some really wonderful people, some close friends, where they are this giant character and they're always on, quote unquote. And for a long time, I honestly judged them until one day it kind of dawned on me where I was like, that is actually them being authentic.
Yeah.
Like, as weird as it sounds, like, to not be on and to not be playing this extravagant character would actually be dishonoring themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like a weird principle, and it gave me a lot of love and compassion where I used to get really frustrated. Where I'd be like, wow, I can't believe so-and-so is...
Why are they so like...
Yeah, or like I called them up and I just wanted to have a real conversation and they couldn't drop the act. But it allowed me to see a lot of compassion there where all of a sudden it's like, oh no, like that is them really living their best self and living truly authentic to themselves. Where to me it looks exhausting, to them that's probably filling themselves up, and I'm sure they take moments alone where they can kind of be off, or at least I hope they do. But that was a big thing for me, and I feel like that's probably an accurate point with what you were talking about with like Kylie Jenner and all them, where like I honestly think that really gives them a lot of juice and fills their joy quota, is like being on and getting to be this overly important person.
You're right.
Versus no matter how important I ever become, I want to be this unimportant.
Yeah.
Or like I'm just in
That's
a
a good point.
podcast room in a booth that's semi-paid for and just like we're just hanging out, versus there are some people where that actually gives them kind of a purpose and fills them up.
Well, it's funny. There was a conversation I was having at the Trails today, actually, about my Instagram persona.
Yeah.
Seems like he was even like, you seem like you would be exhausting to be around.
Really?
Yeah, because of my Instagram page, and that's
Because you
like,
hang off cranes?
well, but that's only part of it, and like, so I just need to do a better job, and I think I've tried to more recently, trying to be more real and authentic on my on my social media because I don't want it to be like that. Like
Yeah.
I want, and it's not that that's not authentic, but like I feel like I hope I'm not exhausting to be around. I guess. I mean, like, or just like a lot to be around. Like,
if anything, of the two of us, I feel like I'm far more exhausted.
Right, in real life, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. But the perception that I am end up portraying online doesn't line up to my personality, and that's something that I need to work on. And
I don't think it has to line up with your personality. I don't think your lifestyle has to line up. You could be
I think
like
it
this
just needs to be
crazy
clarified
person.
that it's playing a character, right? Like, no one's looked at someone who's an actor and been like, why aren't you playing, like, no one goes up to Bruce Willis expecting him to be John McClane, right? They're like, you were clearly being something so that it was entertaining, versus if you're portraying yourself as being yourself and trying to be authentic, then I think it's important. But saying like a big shout out to Big Daddy, like, he's a lot, but he's also very different than who he portrayed himself in the beginning of like his kind of blow up with BMX. He became a character because it was interesting and it was fun and it gave a lot of people laughs and joy, but it wasn't like anyone actually thought he was that person. Right. Or that was where the I guess the line started blurring, and that's where like things might have gotten weird, is when people really thought he was that crazy dude, when like he has a kid and he's a good dad and like he really loves BMX, and there's a lot of things about him that maybe didn't come out. And I think it's really easy to get sucked in. That's why I don't mess with social media, because I know I'm a show pony. And I can't help myself. If there's an audience, I'm going to turn it on. And so I literally turned off everything. All that I'll do now is just like share our Joy Quota stuff. And that's because I feel it's really authentic and I want people to see it. Yeah. But it's for that same reason of I can't not turn it on and kind of turn into this alter ego.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, social media, like, pretty much everyone's on social media now. And I don't think that, in my mind, I'd try not to, if I see someone like, some famous like photographer or something, like I try not to be like, oh, like I wish I had their life or something like that, because I know that they're their own person. And, I just don't really see that kind of stuff. I just see humans and people doing their thing. So I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
I think you're describing what everyone would hopefully grow into, which is you're looking at the account, understanding it's an account. You're seeing the best.
Exactly. You're seeing the best.
A lot of people are seeing social media posts. Like, I think that's
assuming
part of
directly
how
that's their
Kylie and all
life.
those gals got big, is everyone assumed that's their day-to-day life.
Right.
Like, none of them, like, Kylie wasn't posting about getting like an ingrown hair because of a waxing accident or something, like the real human aspects of being just a human got kind of left out, and it got kind of glamorized. And I think it's so easy to fall into that, versus because we all want to think like, that's why superhero movies are so big, is we all want life to be more grandiose than it is. Right. And I think that's part of what Joy Quota is all about, is remembering that life is already unfathomably awesome.
Definitely.
Literally unfathomably awesome. So there's no need to try and glamorize it. All of the best parts of life come from the reality of life.
Definitely.
Just being alive and sharing that experience with others.
Definitely. Like, human-to-human interaction is kind of like, I don't know, it's a little bit lost now. And that's why I love doing like this podcast and other things where I can interact with people. And it's actually a big reason why I love my job, is because I get to like talk to so many cool people and just see their experiences and see people for who they are, not who their social media account is or whatever. And, social media is great. That's your portfolio. Cool. But that's not that person. That's just their digital archive online that they're posting a photo with like some words. That's nothing compared to like here and now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nothing. But it has become a big part of our lives, and Instagram, Facebook is definitely great, and I love the platforms, and I try to use them to my advantage, and I post I do post my best stuff on there, but I also use that to be real and try to post about some things that are like happening in my life that are like not all glamorous and what have you.
Yeah.
So
Well, side note.
And for a photographer, it's a little bit weird because you do want to have your stuff out there,
Yeah.
It is important as a photographer and videographer. So
Well, that was the side note I was getting into, is like, you guys both bear a responsibility that I've never had to deal with, which is something I never even thought of till now, is you are trying to tell someone else's story.
true.
When you make an edit for someone, or like I'm picturing all the BMX edits that Dylan has made, or some of the different edits in films and projects that you've been involved in, like the one that you're working on right now, you're literally trying to tell a narrative. And what's it like trying to thread that needle of making something interesting in a way that's authentic, to where you're not going to portray so-and-so in a light, like you have to kind of keep it on track with, I'm trying to really share this person's vision, and I'm the tool to make it happen. That's got to be such a weird, gratifying responsibility that I'd never even pictured till now.
Yeah, it is weird, and it's a whole process, and especially if you want to stay authentic, I think for me, like, why I love shooting action sports and shooting with athletes is because that's their life and that's what they do. And I love being able to be in that experience with them and be able to capture that. And I think that, to me at least, makes me feel like I'm doing something authentic and real and meaningful. And yeah, storytelling is definitely a hard thing to do, and it's hard to do authentically. But I think if you have the right ingredients for it, then it's a recipe for success. But if you're trying very hard to make something happen, then I just don't know if it's gonna work. If you're gonna make art do the things that you want to do and that inspires you, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I, kind of picked up photography through mountain biking, is because I've always loved mountain biking, and that was always kind of like a thing that I felt really passionate about, and to like merge photography with that was a pretty cool experience, and that definitely like made me realize more possibilities. And I loved just going out there to the trails with my friends with my camera to capture that. And I think probably some of the very first videos I did are probably the most authentic videos I've ever done and probably ever will do. Like the very first videos that I've ever done.
Because you didn't have the skill to hide anything but the truth.
Exactly. So I think literally like the first video I ever done was probably the most authentic, and just down the line they get less and less authentic.
Well, I feel
Actually,
like it's probably
I wouldn't
a
say
bell
that.
curve. It probably
It's
gets
probably
to
like,
a place where you're really proud of your skills, and you kind of
Right.
use those skills to make yourself seem better or different, or like probably not even on purpose, right? Like you would genuinely be proud because you're getting better at this thing,
Right.
and then all of a sudden you realize you've got the skills. What I'm missing is what I loved about it when I first started, and you come back to a place
Exactly.
where you're more authentic.
Exactly, and I always try to come back to that place and remember why I started doing this. And if I can remember that before I start a project, then I'm doing it for the right reasons.
Amen. That's awesome. How about you, Dylan?
I gotta say, really quick, actually, so when I was first starting, like, I was getting into photography and videography, I would be inspired by all these mountain bike videos and photography that I would see. And actually, Dylan, one of his videos, like, I remember watching it, and it was the one with Jake Kinney, the one that you did at night.
Yeah.
And I was
I know
like,
the
wow, like, this is like a really sick video, and it was really clean, and I was like, this shit makes me feel something. And
Whoa.
that video like definitely played a role in like inspiring me to like create videos around mountain biking and BMX, whatever.
That was pretty sick.
I'm dead serious. Like, I
yeah.
remember that video vividly, watching it, and I was like, wow, this is sick.
That's awesome. Yo.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird because at the time you don't really think of it like that, but that's
you were just
certainly
doing
the
it for
goal.
you. Yeah.
That's certainly the goal, is to make people feel something, and so to hear that is effective is awesome, of course.
Look at Dylan. Playing it cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, because he had mentioned that before when we were talking on Instagram, by the way, is how Connor came to be on the podcast.
Oh, this is the first time hearing that story. I'm like seconds away from crying because I'm a mushball. This is full joy quota right now. I'm literally like maxed out.
Shit.
I'm gonna have to go home and Allie have to like ring me out.
And it's just rare to hear stuff like that, and so it is cool to share because it's so easy to like we've talked about it on other podcasts, but like it's so easy to find something to hate, and I feel like I was in it at a time where everybody liked to hate on everything. Like it was a full peak of the come up and
Really?
all this, where it was just like you post something and everybody immediately hates it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they hate the video or the writing or whatever, it doesn't matter. But
they love to be haters, for sure.
And so when I don't know why I just kept doing it anyway because I didn't give a shit. But
of course, people are gonna have something to say about a sick bike video.
Yeah,
they're pissed that they can't do it.
Right. Yeah. but yeah, that one was a cool one where like we got to use a song from the movie Drive, which is one of my favorites.
No way. Yeah, the song was dope, and the
the
editing and videography. Where'd you guys film that at?
That was in San Diego. I told you I was going to watch it to remind myself, and I didn't. I forgot.
Cool.
It's okay. Link to the video.
We filmed it in San Diego,
Yeah.
which is where Jake grew up.
Cool.
And, I think we went and met his parents that trip.
Oh, that's cool.
It was sweet. That was like when drones first came out.
Yeah, I saw you had the drone shot in there too. I was like, holy shit, this was
Was
while
that little
ago.
white drone?
Yeah, well, no, it's the massive white drone with the GoPro on it. And like, so trying to fly it at night was something that I had never done before, and like downtown San Diego, trying to film it in the streets, and it was just gnarly. But
so could you see what you were filming, like on your phone or anything, or?
On that one, I can't remember because at first, so I don't want to get down a technology rabbit hole too much, but like, when drones first came out, whatever, 5 years ago, I just jumped on it because I thought it was so cool, and you had to put the GoPro on it, and I had to like the little stabilizer for the GoPro had to be soldered into the power supply of the Phantom, the drone. And the battery only lasted like 3 minutes, so you had to like really
be on it.
Yeah. And I don't know, when I first got it, you couldn't see, and then they came out with this transmitter thing, and I got the transmitter, but you have to like charge the battery for the transmitter in the drone, charge the drone battery, charge the battery, charge the GoPro, charge the monitor that you're gonna watch it on, charge the controller thing. So you're like literally charging 5 things, and inevitably you forget to charge one thing, or it doesn't work. It doesn't plug in all the way, and like one thing, and then the whole thing is a bust, and so you can't see what you're filming. It was just compared to now, where it just goes on your phone and it's so easy.
And the drone
charge
fits
2
in your
things.
pocket.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember my friend Quinn filming me at Valmont Bike Park a long time ago with one of those drones that probably the same drone that you had. He's like, it lasts like 5 minutes, bro. Like, we got to get this quick. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I just ripped a bunch of lines real quick just on the bike park. And yeah, Quinn, you might know Quinn.
The name sounds familiar.
Quinn Maxwell. He's also an inspiration to my videography career. And he actually pulled me on one of my first jobs, actually. I went on when I was like, I honestly might have been like 14 when I was on like my first like film set.
That's
so
nuts.
Quinn pulled me on. I was like, hey man, I'm starting to get into photography and stuff. Like, I know you do it. Let me know if I can help you at all. So he's like, actually, I got this documentary project that I'm working on called Ancient Tomorrow. And Ancient Tomorrow ended up being like at least a 5-year thing for me. But it's about the ancient, power plants and the pyramids and how that all kind of used to be like a worldwide wireless energy system. So it goes into exploring that. And yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff in there that I learned when I was working on it. And shit, I believe some of it, I don't know. But yeah, that was one of my first jobs, and started working just as like a production assistant and second shooter. And that ended up at 14.
And you're getting paid. Damn.
I don't know if I was getting paid. I don't know if I was getting paid yet.
You're getting paid experience at a bare minimum.
Paid experience. It was great. I was so stoked to be there. And then Quinn ended up leaving that production, and then I basically actually took over Quinn's position and ended up doing like a lot of the shooting on that documentary and a lot of the editing as well.
Wow.
Which was really cool. So it's available on like Netflix, I think Amazon, and other streaming platforms. But it was a cool project to work on. And speaking of like first project that I ever got paid for, it was really cool. And it was with Plus Size BMX. They've been a big part of the Colorado kind of mountain bike scene, and beyond Colorado too. But I met Chris just through going to his events and dirt jump competitions or what have you that he would put on. And I was like, hey, I'm starting to do filming, like check out some of these videos I made of my friends. And he was like, okay, well, Brian Banghart is throwing a jam in his backyard.
Yeah, the Golden Trails.
And we want a video made for it. And I was like, all right, I would absolutely love to do this. Let me know what you need. And he's like, all right, I'm going to pay you like, I don't know, it's probably like $150 or something, not much. But for back then, shit, I'm getting paid $150 to do like a video. What? Like, what is life? So showed up to Brian's yard. Of course, I'm going to bring my bike. I have to ride too. I can't just film, which lives true to today. And made the video. And while I was there, Shelby Smith was also there, and he's also another videographer that I looked up to. And I saw him like filming with the glide cam, and I was like, holy shit, I need one of those. He's probably getting some crazy shots right now. But it was cool to like film alongside him, and I can't remember who he was filming for, but it was cool getting to like film for Plus Size BMX. My first job ever was something that I was passionate about, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, super cool. I wonder, I must not have, was I there? Do you remember?
Shit, you might have been.
Were you in Cali then? No, you had to have been.
It was
there.
a sweet jam.
Because I don't remember ever having a jam at his house. He had rad jumps. They were super fun.
Yeah, huge yard full of
before he moved out, he threw like a giant jam. It's like
right before he moved out.
Okay, then maybe I wasn't. I was in California by then, because I don't remember ever having a jam. But we were right there. They were super fun.
Cool. Oh, and that's such a cool experience. Like, I've had that same experience where I remember doing my first paid stunt show, where I literally got paid to ride a BMX bike, and it broke me from being able to be a decent employee. Mm-hmm. Like, to this day, like...
Was that with Yellow Designs?
It was with Yellow Designs, yeah. So I had been hanging out with Yellow, and it goes back to being in the right environment. Mm-hmm. We watched the stunt show, and this is like a month after I found out what BMX was. And I tore my bike apart, and I made it into a BMX bike. And I'm all fired up about it. And we're in Winter Park. We see Yellow Designs do a show after this mountain bike thing we were doing for the Red Cross. And my dad could just tell I'm just itching at the table. I can't sit still. Mm-hmm. And he just tells me, like, go introduce yourself. Like, go make friends with those people.
Cool.
And he literally had to, like, walk me over there, like, first day of school, and, like, drop me off and walk away. And I did not leave their side. Like, I didn't let them break down the ramp in peace. I didn't let them sell merch in peace. I was glued to them.
Yeah.
And over the course of like a year, I just followed them around, and I bought a box jump lip from them that I put in my front yard as a quarter pipe, and spent a lot of time through there. Big shout out to Yellow Designs and Brian Gavigan for that. Literally changed my life. But I remember doing my first paid stunt show in Colorado Springs, and like the craziest feeling, like you said, of just like, it literally had to have been $25 to $50. Like, it was nothing. And like, by no means was I crushing it as a stunt rider either. Like, I was mostly there because I was 14, and it was interesting that there was a 14-year-old on the team, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And maybe 15. And yeah, that feeling of, I just got paid to do something I love is something that I wish for everyone.
Yeah.
Because it really opened me up to realize I don't have to do things. Like, if I have to do something for money, like a JOB or a 9-to-5 that I'm not crazy passionate about, it doesn't mean I can't go find a way to get paid to do what I love. Like, it really made it real and solid and concrete in my mind that there's no reason you can't get paid to do what you love.
Definitely. I think that, even that first job that I got too, that had a lot to do with my confidence in being willing to pursue this. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because I did like several stunt shows for free, and like I enjoyed it. Kind of going back to the whole school thing, like I enjoyed it, and the how to get paid for it just kind of showed up. It wasn't, and it's not something I chose to pursue and like become a professional rider, but at the same time, it opened the door of like, I don't have to believe in work isn't something I'm supposed to enjoy. It's just to get money.
Definitely. And you chose to, go talk to Yellow Designs. Maybe it was your dad that chose that.
Yeah,
like,
ultimately
hey, go talk to Yellow.
Me. Ultimately, it was on me, yeah.
Right. Ultimately, like, it was on you, and, just surrounding yourself by those people is, like, the first step. Like, someone inspires you, like, try to get in with them. And that seemed to work with you for Yellow Designs, which is really cool, and that seemed to work with me for, being like, hey, Quinn, like, I'm into photography. Let me know if I can help you at all, So, and that still lives true to my job today, is just, being surrounded by the people that inspire me. And I feel like, if anything, like, my friends and just the people that I'm close to, like, inspire me more than just anyone, like, that's, like, super famous or anything. Like, I get most of my inspiration from my friends and like people that are in my life, and people that I give my energy to, and I get that energy back. Yeah. So that's really important to have around, and just being open to talk to people and being open to being vulnerable to people. Like, hey, I don't know this. Like, can you what, like, let me learn about what this is all about. That really has helped me become, a freelance photographer and videographer, is that I'm willing to talk to people that are in that field, or people that, I want to like, hey, like, can I do some free photos for you or whatever, free video? Like, how can I help you at all? So just putting yourself out there, getting your name out there is huge. And, Plus Size BMX was the first client, and I've really never done like a whole lot of advertising for my business, and a lot of it is pretty much just word of mouth and just me being open to the possibilities and talking to people and learning people's stories, and just being open to it, I think, is the most genuine way and has been the best way for me to get clients, and pretty much all of them are very meaningful to me. So it's great having that be the system, as far as like, hey, like, I'm just doing this job to like get money or whatever. It's more than that. It's more of like a partnership and a collaboration, it seems like, with a majority of my clients. So I love that. I love being able to work with them on their dreams, so it's not just one of our dreams, it's both of our dreams collaborating. I like to think of it as, when I work with someone, it's collaborating on our dreams together. So
heck yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's such a great way to look at things, is that you're working together on something. You're not just producing something for someone.
Yeah.
You are a part of it, and you take that ownership. And I think it shows off in a lot of, at least I haven't seen a ton of your stuff, but as soon as I found out you were on the podcast, I was like, sick, I can't wait. I love watching action sports videos, so it was like, oh, twist my arm. Like, I get to watch some cool footage, and like, yeah, you can tell there's a lot of heart, and like, I think that really shows off, or shows up anyways, in everything that you're doing. And even back to what you were talking about, of you've really gotten back to trying to be as authentic as possible, and it shows up because you're really keeping it real and becoming a partner with the clients. It's not just I'm making a video for these people. I'm making a video with these people, and when we're done, we're both going to look at this and be like, wow, we did something together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very fortunate to be working with everyone that I do, and very fortunate to know everyone that I do, and definitely could not do this without everyone in my life. And it's just been a really great journey. Taking my inspiration from a young kid and kind of just rocking with that and riding that wave has been my best option. And yeah, I'm just glad that I didn't take the advice of like maybe a few teachers or something that I've had, and I kind of just stuck to my vision and my plan, and it's worked out really good. And yeah, I feel very stoked to wake up every day and do what I do, and it's a new adventure every day. It's great, and shout out to everyone in my life, because I couldn't do this myself. Like I said, it's a collaboration of dreams, and that's what it's all about. So,
amen.
For sure.
Well,
that's cool.
Heck yeah. How are we doing on time?
We're at an hour and a half, so.
Sweet.
Cool. It's about
Is
prime.
there anything that you want to share right before we call it, like Instagram or places people can reach out if they want to check out some of your stuff?
Yeah, definitely. My Instagram is Connor Tieulie. We can link that below. My last name is very hard to understand because it's French Canadian. Also Canadian, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And so Connor Tieulie on Instagram, Connor Tieulie Media, Facebook. Stay tuned for Dad Ventures. Hopefully we'll have some Dad Ventures in the works soon, and just a lot of exciting other projects coming up too that I'm working on. Actually, when I was riding my bike over here to the podcast, I was on the phone with DJ Brandt. We're actually shooting tomorrow in Idaho Springs for a little project. So very stoked to be working with him. He's definitely been like a huge inspiration since I've been moved to Colorado. So yeah very stoked. And just, don't let people tell you what to do. Follow your mindset, follow your own road. And yeah, I hope everyone listening to this has a blessed life and can do. You got this. You guys got this. Fill that joy quota.
Damn, thanks, Connor. That was awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys. I'm very stoked to be talking to y'all.
Boom.
Thank you. Boom. That's what's up.
Sick.
Nice.